what's the budget on this one? $0? Can we get it running for no money? I got to tell a story, you know, I like telling a good story. So this wasn't for sale. It wasn't advertised, it wasn't marketed, it wasn't on Facebook, it wasn't on Instagram, it wasn't on anything. And so let me give you a little pointer here. If you see a sign for a yard sale on Friday, if someone's already posted it on Friday, you need to go. Don't wait till Saturday. You need to slip off during lunch or right after work, and you need to get down there and you need to check that yard sale, because you are going to be the first one there. A lot of people are really starting to do Friday afternoons on yard sales. You know, I know it's not, you know, the sexy thing to talk about, yard sales, but it can be. So I get to this yard sale and they don't have anything. I mean, there was nothing. I was about to walk away. So I asked the fella, I said, you know, I'm always out looking for old three-wheelers. You know, that's kind of my thing. I like to try to find those old three-wheelers. So you wouldn't have to have one of them laying around, would you? And he said, no. He said, them things is dangerous. Yeah, he told me that. And I said, yeah, I hear that a lot. And he says, but I got an old four-wheeler. I said, well, is it for sale? And he said, well, yeah. I said, well, what kind is it? He said, it's a Honda. Well, you're preaching to the choir right there. I said, well, you mind if we take a look at it? He said, yeah, come on. Well, check this out. This is what he showed me. This is a 2007 250 Recon ES, or if you want to know the official name, it's a 250 TE. And I have no idea what the TE stands for. I know what the ES stands for, and in this case, it's electric shift. And I know a lot of y'all are going, oh, yeah, guys, electric shift. I would have preferred the manual, but you know, you take what you can get. But look at this poor thing. It has been left outside, and it is now the pinkest Honda you're probably ever going to find. And what's crazy about it is how even the pink is. I mean, it's pink from front to back. I really don't think you could, you know, make it any more pink and even. It's sat outside its whole life, which is really sad. When I found it, there was a plastic pool cover over the top of it the guy had put on it, but definitely way too late. The sun's already got to it. Look how much that seat cover has shrunk. It's shrunk 2 inches already. Looks like they had a dog too, maybe a chicken or a cat or something. So anyways, a couple things to look for. We could kind of talk about a buyer's guide. I know it looks bad, but the guy did put air in the tires, so the tires were low, but they weren't flat. But this is exactly the way I saw it. This is how I walked up to it. He said it wouldn't start. You know the old fable, it ran when parked. The only thing is, I don't know why anybody would park it way off behind the barn, up next to the tree row, next to the tractor and the harrows and all the other equipment that didn't work anymore. That's where they parked it. When you're looking at ATV, and these don't come around very often, I gotta tell you, this man was the original owner. He bought it brand new in 2007. This is a real diamond in the rough. It's pink. It's a pink diamond in the rough. One owner with title. Known history. Now, anybody can tell a good story, but he had the paperwork to back it up. And so I bought it and I brought it home. I have never worked on one of these particular Recons. I've worked on an ES or EX, excuse me. My first four-wheeler was a little 250 EX, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the sport version of this machine here. It did not have the electronic shift though, and that is problematic. The electronic shift is very problematic on these. I know that going in. We're hoping for the best. We're going to see what happens. Things to look for. We talk about this in three-wheelers, but we got to talk. This is 2007. This is 20 years newer than, you know, an 83 Big Red. I mean, it's light years different. Big time. Things to look for still stay the same. When you're out looking for any type of equipment, look at the tires. Original Goodyears. I believe these are the original tires on this machine. Look at the plastics. Look, they're OE plastics. They have all their embossings, which in this case are stickers, but the original stickers are riveted. Look at this. These are not Myers. These are the original OE placards, both sides, tank cover. The rear, it's not been broken. There's no cracks, there's no heats. I know they're pink. Let's get past that. Stickers are all in place. Here's what was the telltale for me. For a utility machine, look at the front bumper. Just a few little nicks here in the front, but it's straight. The bars are straight. The rack's straight. I've seen these. When you take this bolt out, this rack kicks up 3 inches. This machine is straight as it can be. I looked underneath it there at the cellar, just, you know, lightly, kind of seeing what I was seeing. And there's the sticker that tells you it's a 2007. It is that way because that's the way it is. I think that's how the guys say it. But this was interesting. I did not know it was called a TE. Somebody will probably tell us what that TE stands for in the comments. But the frame is extremely clean on this. Remember guys, I live in Florida. Things rust down here and they rust bad. Got a homemade hitch on the back. Ain't nobody gonna be mad about that. Look at the axle housing. Look how clean that axle housing is. And the swing arm and the bushings and the shock. I mean, I'm used to looking at 40-year-old three-wheelers. This thing looks brand new. Okay, a little exaggeration there. Original muffler, tail light, look at housing, the trunk's here. This is what you want to look for. We talk about the three-wheelers. Look at the bar ends. These bar ends, these are plastic, but they're not all chewed up, they're not banged up. The grip, look at the grip. See how this just got a few bars that are worn out here? Look at that. That's the factory OE grip. There's still tons of grip on there. I'm gonna say this machine was probably rode quite a bit when they first bought it. Most of them are. And it ran into some type of problem, and it has been sitting for a long time, long enough for this plastic to get wiped out like this and turn pink. Suspension's good, everything's good about this machine. Will it run? That's the question. I don't know. I hope so. People say, people always in the comments, yeah, it'll run, it's a Honda. Well, yeah, anything will run if you throw enough money at it. So, what's the budget on this one? $0? Can we get it running for no money? Okay, challenge accepted. We'll see what we can do. So, first thing I like to do, as always, I preach this about the three-wheelers, is I like to go after spark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the plastics off of this. We're going to pull the spark plug. That's the first thing you want to do. Now this is electric start, but it also has a pull start handle. I will take the opportunity, since I have a battery charger, I'll hook a battery charger up to it. That'll tell us some diagnosing things too. And let's see if we've got spark. All right, so before we get too carried away here, I went ahead and take the plastic off. I got to tell you, the gas is just rancid. It smells really bad, but there's gas in it. This is a plastic tank. You got a basic carburetor, except this carburetor has a it's not fuel injected, so we're older than fuel injection, but newer than three-wheelers. Gives a little squirt of fuel when you hit the throttle, even if the machine's not running. It has a diaphragm in there to do that. As soon as it starts to turn over, it's squirting fuel. So that's a good thing about this carburetor, but it is a little more complicated. It's got a few more moving parts, if you will, than our basic old three-wheeler carburetor. So before really you buy a machine, you need to check the oil. Always check the oil. That's the first thing. And I got to tell you, sometimes I even overlook that. I get excited about, you know, all of the parts of a deal that's going on. You know, is it a good price? Do I want it? Can I fix it? How bad off is, I mean, there's so many things. Check the oil. And so on this machine, it is on the left side. I did check it at the cellar, but I'll show you and check it just again. You always want to check it. You want to make sure it's black. You want to make sure it's got some in it. You know, it can be a little low. It can be, you know, a little water in it. You know, the 84R, which is become my favorite machine, had water in the oil. Haven't had any problems since then. Not since I changed the clutch. So there's degrees, tolerances, if you will. So now we've checked the oil. The guy told me it had compression. I pulled on the pull cord there. Without having a battery charger hooked up to this, I couldn't tell necessarily if it was in neutral. I ended up getting a crescent wrench from the gentleman, and I did not look under the seat. Under the seat, you'll find, actually, supposed to, OE, this is your manual shifter. If you get stuck somewhere with a dead battery, look underneath the seat on these. Hopefully, you'll find the manual shifter. I didn't even know that was there. So, I asked the gentleman for a crescent wrench. I took the crescent wrench, and right down here, normally where your shift shaft is a hexagon bolt. You put a crescent wrench there, and you can rock it forward and backwards along with rocking the machine and verify it's in neutral. I did that. I pulled the pull rope seemed fine. I heard compression, but there's no way to know. People tell you, oh, it's got compression, but you don't know how much compression. 90 psi is compression, but it won't run. You can hear compression and still not have enough compression to run. So remember that if somebody tells you, hey, it's got compression, you need to ask them how much. Okay? You put your finger over it or whatever gauge they use to verify compression. You need a number. I need to hear 100. I need to hear 120, 160. I want to know what compression. If you're going to tell me it's got good compression, I'd like to know a number. So I had to go by just kind of instinct. I pulled the pull rope. It pulled out fine. It didn't lock up. It didn't make any noises. It was quiet around. You know, it made a little poppy sound. I felt it was good. It was worth going to the next step. Condition is kind of the next step. Then you want to fine tune condition. Check that oil. Check that air cleaner. That's a big one. Rat's nest, snakes, moths, all kinds of stuff that get in there. You don't want to suck that into your engine. Check your air cleaner. That's another important one. So this is an electronic transmission, shifted transmission. So you really need to know if it's in neutral. So at the Sellers, I rocked it back and forth. I took the crescent wrench. I worked the shift shaft manually, and I could hear it go into gear. It went click clunk. It makes a very distinct sound. It was a solid, positive sound. It didn't sound grindy or anything like that. It was in gear, which was interesting to me that it was parked in gear. By doing that, I found neutral. We were able to put it up in the truck relatively easily, 2 grown men. It's just part of the process. You just got to find these things out as you go. So at this point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pull the spark plug. The spark, that's the first and most important thing, I think, to start with. Spark is the most hardest at part of the 4 things you really need for an engine to run. And so I always go after spark first. Once I have that, then the next big hurdle is going to be compression. Fuel and air are easy. You can just spray that right out of a spray can. That's not even hard to do. So you always, and this is why I always try to remind people, I hate to use the word tell people, but that's why I tell people the 4 things in the order I go after them is spark, compression, fuel, and air. And that gets me a long way, guys. It gets me a long way. So let's pull the spark plug off. Now on this particular model, the spark plug is on the left side. Just want to pull your cap. Make sure, you know, again, when you're buying a machine, you know, you got to take chances a little bit in life. You want to look at stuff. Look at the wiring. How red that cap is. It hasn't been exposed to the sun. It hasn't been chewed on. You know, it's all there. Look at your other plugs. We've got some mud back here, but look at the caps. These plugs here, though they're covered in mud, they're in the factory little embossings. No one's been in here yanking cords and cutting wires. Everything is where it should be. Our CDI is still on the factory mount. It hasn't been messed with. Everything on this machine is really, really correct. It really does look like it was just driven and parked at some point in time. I think these spark plugs get longer and longer. All right, so here's our spark plug. Okay, looks like it was running good. It looks like, see that you got a tan porcelain down here. Seems like it was running pretty good. Might be a little rich, but not bad. I don't see any oil. It's not wet. It's not covered in gas. It's not covered in oil. It's actually a pretty good plug. Not great, but pretty good. So what you want to do is put it back here on your boot. Kind of prop it up. I'm going to put it where the camera can see it. There. And next I'm going to open up the air box. And I'm going to make sure there's nothing in here that's going to be bad. I don't want to suck anything up into the engine. Nope. just an empty element. So there's just the cage itself, so there's nothing there. That's good. So I tell you what, instead of using the battery charger, let's we're going to turn our key on. Let's see if we can just pull cord and check it. Okay, we got spark, y'all. So look right here between your electrode and your strap. You'll see it spark. Oh yeah, that's good. All right. Hear that compression that you hear? There's no way to know if that's enough to run or not. We have no idea. All we do know is the piston is moving up and down. It's not making any clunky noises. Everything sounds really good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our plug back out. We know we've got spark, and I'm going to go run it on the wire wheel just lightly, just to kind of clean it up. And the reason I'm going to do that is, even though it doesn't look that bad, is when we get it running, hopefully we'll get it running, we'll check it and we'll see how much difference it is between now not running and then running later. So I'll be right back. All right, so now our plug is cleaner. It's not clean, but it's cleaner. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to put our plug back in. Not a whole lot of room, but actually more than some. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to take the gas tank off. We're going to pull the gas tank off and we're going to clean it out. And we're going to put it back on. Old gas is just, it's not worth running it through your carburetor. This carburetor is very accessible. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it too, and we're just going to kind of go through it. Be sure and get your plug boot back on. Listen for the click. There you go. All right. So we've got spark. I'm pretty sure we've got compression. It sounds really good. I'm going to pull this gas tank. All right. So I took the tank out and cleaned it out. There's a lot of schmutz in here. I know the bucket was dirty already, but it was old, and it had quite a bit of trash in it. So based on that, I'm going to pull the carburetor. Y'all see me do those. They're pretty straightforward. It's two 10mm sockets or nuts, and then the air box. We'll pull it out. I'll rinse the air box out too. It's just good maintenance to start fresh, and so you know what you're dealing with. Hey guys, I lost some footage. I don't have the video of me pulling the carburetor and going through it. It's a good thing that we did go through it. The idle jet and the run jet were completely plugged up. I actually had to change the idle jet out. I couldn't get a tip cleaner through it. It was destroyed. It had a 38 in it. I had one laying around the shop. It was a 40, so it's a tad bigger than OE, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So carburetor's back on. I think you did see me put a new air filter in it. I had gotten that for this machine. The tank was really, really bad. I don't know what had gotten in it. It might have just been really old gas broken down and kind of congealed and made some schmutz or something. It was bad. And it stunk really bad. It's actually outside now. I did want it in here. So I ended up rinsing the tank out with good gas, and then blowing it out with the air compressor to get any more particles out, because that was really what I was trying to get out. This carburetor has a little small screen right in the beginning of the fuel line. When the fuel line goes on the carburetor, there's a very, very, very fine screen. Be sure and get that out and clean it really good, and you can put it back in or you can replace it. I ended up cleaning the one that we had. It was in it, and I put it back in. So that's good. That's our filtering system for this machine. It doesn't run a traditional inline fuel filter. It's actually in the carb. If you knew that going in, it would have been easy. So now you know. I didn't know. I kind of found it by accident. I kept looking at it and I said, that looks weird. And sure enough, I kind of poked at it and it came out. So air filter, carb clean, be sure and check your throttle, listen. You can hear it actually. This is really big. I just hate to have a runaway for anybody. If you listen really close, you hear that? If you pull the throttle all the way up, you can hear it hit at the top. Ready? All the way. Top, you can hear that slide hit, and then when you let off, you can hear that slide hit the bottom of the carburetor. That way you know you're in a safe spot. You can always look up your references on where your sets for your fast idle is generally 2, 2 1/4 turns out, 2 1/2 turns out. 2 1/2, 2 1/4 will get you up and running, and you can fine tune it from there. Air fuel mixture is generally 1.75 out. That's from seated. That means you run your screw all the way in, then you start counting revolutions coming out. 1.75 will get you up and running. There again, once you're up and running, check your spark plug. You want a nice tan color on that white porcelain. So with all that said, we've got the jump box hooked up to it. I'm going to throw some juice at it, and I think we'll be in good shape. So if it runs, I'm going to try to keep it running for a little while, kind of get it up to temperature, and then we'll drop the oil out of it, and just go ahead and give it a really good service. And then I think if that goes well, then it warrants a bath. And so then we'll kind of see what we're really working with. How ugly is this pink, and what are our options? They still make these plastics. You can get them brand new from Honda. I just found this out the other day. Preston told me. You can get these brand new. That's really the way to go, but you're not going to have your placards. You're not going to have any of those. They're going to be blank. You have to transfer those over if you can. Some of these are aluminum plates. Some of these are stickers. We know who to go to if you want replacement stickers. That's Blue Line Graphics. But you know, anybody can throw a bunch of money at a project and have a nice machine, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. I bought this machine to fix and to sell, and so that kind of leads down a different path. And so when you are doing that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. There's people that make a living doing it. I don't, but I enjoy doing it for fun. On this machine here, real quick, you need a set of tires. Real quick, you're going to want to do something about these pink plastics, unless you like pink. Maybe you like pink. Maybe you drink Bud Light. I don't know, but it's pink. My point is, margins is very important when you're buying and fixing something and selling something. Is this going to run? Let's find out. Choke, fuel, give it a minute. It's got to run that in there in the carburetor. Our plug wire's on, jump box is jumping. We got a green light. We got a tail light. Look at that, y'all. Hey. Tail light works. What else do we got? Do we have headlights? No? Let's see, are they on? We got headlights. Look at that. Yeah, they're bright too. Well, that's all good. We got high and low beam. Well, let's see what happens. Lost your cable. That's good. That's promising. I think my idle baby set a little too low. Well, there's only one thing left to do, right? All right. Well, there we go. Test run. First time around the track. It pulls a little to the right. Right front tire's a little low. That applies to three-wheelers too, guys. Y'all got a three-wheeler that makes a pulls to the right or the left. Always check your air pressure in the back tires too. Don't forget about those. They will cause the whole machine to act kind of squirrely. Yeah, that right front is pretty low, so that's not. It's a little soft. Oh yeah, yeah, pretty soft. But you know, for OE tires, they're round-esque. Wow, that's fun. That's that's really why we do it. I know it's a 250 ES. I know it's not. It's a Recon. It's not a 250R. It's not a 350X. It's not. But it's an entry-level quad, and somebody's going to be happy to have it. And I'm happy to have brought it back. I found it, next to a guy's fence behind his barn. And there it is, running and riding. Now y'all have ridden it, so y'all can attest that it's hard to kill a Honda. There just ain't no doubt about it. It is hard to kill a Honda. So I don't know, tomorrow we're gonna wash it off and pressure wash it. We'll get it cleaned up and we'll see what we're really working with. We could touch up the wheels. The right side over here does look, I think this is the side that was exposed to the elements. If you look, right side wheels, some of that may come off, but I think the paint's missing. Yeah, the paint's missing there. So I think the sun really beat on this side a little bit more. Both rims are that way. They both hold air, they're solid. It's just a paint. But from a buyer's perspective, if you're going to give top dollar for something, you want it to look top dollar. So I've ordered a replacement seat cover. It's coming. When that gets here, we'll do an upholstery. I think that's the first thing people see. I can overlook the pink plastics if the seat was nice. That's just me. I mean, the pink is so even on it. It's a little pinker right here in the middle and a little lighter here and there. It almost looks like it came that way. I'm sorry to say. I think when we wash it, I think you're going to be surprised. Oh, we got to see what's in the trunk. What's in the trunk? Hey, tools. Look at that. We got some tools. A tool. But we were talking earlier, and I make a lot of jokes. We're missing the tool kit, I believe, set underneath this, the whole kit. That is missing. When you are looking at machines, man, completeness is everything. Nuts and bolts and washers and tail lights not being, somebody took care of this. Look back here, no wheelies, no wheelie rash across the back of this. Muffler's intact, it wasn't banged into something, didn't back into stuff haphazardly. The fenders are all nice and the edges are all there. Nobody's rolled this machine. Everything is straight, everything is true on it. I mean, I gotta tell you, it would really be worth fixing up. It really would. I think, you know, the more I look at it, the black I think is going to clean up really nice. I think we can put some protectant on there and kind of bring the color back of all the black. We could touch up. We got a little surface rust here, you know, on the front rack, but nothing a little, you know, Scotch-Brite pad and some semi-gloss black wouldn't help. Our dash is in good shape. Everything's here. Nobody's monkeyed with it. Nobody's popped this little bar out. All our controls are good. Brakes, I'm going to tell you, are a little questionable. Front's a little soft. And the rear were there. They were just, you know, probably need some pads, brake shoes on this one. This machine is drum. It's hydraulic drum in the front, and it's cable drum in the rear. Yeah. Shaft drive, though, it's really hard to beat a good shaft drive. No chain maintenance to worry about. These just are some really bulletproof machines. They really, really are. They just go and go and go. And like I said, I think this one, and like most of them, operator error. Somebody put fuel in this tank that was questionable. Maybe it came out of an old gas can. Maybe a little kid did it and the parents didn't even know, and they come out to it one day and it just didn't run no more. You know, it's something simple like that. Sideline this machine. We didn't do nothing. What did I do? I didn't do a thing. Check for spark, had it. Check for compression, heard some. Put fuel to it and it fired up. There's nothing you can do. But again, when you're shopping for a machine, look at those bar ends. Look at those broke levers. If you see a lever that's cut off short, the other one's not, that means they rolled that machine. Now that's not the end of the world, but it's something. You got a bunch of road rash back here where the kid's been doing wheelies on the back of it. This machine was more than likely, the man that I bought it from was probably in his late 60s. Yeah, I'd say probably late 60s. He probably bought it personally for himself. He probably had his grandkids run on it because he told me that his grandkids used to ride it. And probably one of them put something in it that just didn't belong. And you know, it's set for years and years and years. And so we come along and we thought we'd take a wrench to it and see what we can figure out. And I like it. I really, really, really like it. So in a situation like this, what do? We talked about it. You can go to NADA and look up, or Kelly Blue Book, and look up the value of a machine before you buy it. And by all means, please look up the value before you buy something. You need to know that information going in. You can overbuy real quick or overpay real quick. This machine, $2,500. You know, we could put $1,000 in it. And I know that's a lot of money. But if you got a $2,500 payday on the other end, then putting $1,000 in, it's not so bad, right? You can put fenders on it, tires on it. It's a fine machine. It was definitely worth saving, and I'm glad to be a part of saving it. And we'll set it up for somebody else, and they'll enjoy it for years to come. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. It goes a long way to making the channel grow. Remember, we've got a contest this month only. The best comment put down below, remember, family friendly. Best comment, I'm going to pick one. Whoever has the best comment, I'm going to send you one of Sammy's flags. You see the flags hanging up? You got the Honda hoarders there. You got some over there. You got a 200X and the 250R flag, which is the one we just got from Sammy's Flags. Y'all be sure and check out his website. He was gracious enough to send me a flag, and he's also sponsoring this contest. He's going to send one of you a flag. So one of our members of the channel, someone who's already purchased membership, we're going to pick one of you. You're going to get a flag sent out at the end of the month. And one of our just comments, subscribers, or somebody that comes passing by that's got a funny comment, I'm going to send you a flag too. So good luck to everybody. Let's see what these comments are. The funnier the better. Just keep them clean, people. Keep them clean. And y'all have a good evening. I'm gonna go wash this and we'll see what we're working with. Like I said, we'll do an upholstery on the seat before we get rid of it, so at least one more video will have this on it. So we'll put this on the track and we'll see what I can lay down with that. And you may have noticed I cleaned up the shop. I had a day off this week. The weather was gorgeous and I cleaned house, and in doing so I brought my refrigerator up front. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make that the leaderboard, and I'll show you what's inside. Check this out. My girl's got me my own little Chloe mug. Check that out. I don't know where Chloe's at. She's somewhere. Y'all have a good evening. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget, best comment down below. Get you a free flag from Sammy Flags. Be sure and check him out. Link to his website will be in the description down below. Y'all take care. Y'all have a good evening. Good night.